Hi guys, welcome to the channel of Love. Okay, we are going to get this chapter completed today, and it'll be the completion of the book. You'll see it when you believe it. Important chapter. It's on forgiveness. It's coming in with the collective readings. So let's crack on with it. Putting forgiveness into action. It is obvious to me, and I'm sure to you as well, that we all resist forgiveness when we prefer to use blame. We seek out revenge when we live in a world which practices it in every corner of the globe. We find forgiveness as plausible principle when we read our holy books, yet extremely difficult to live by because it violates that need to get even and to right the score. We also fail to look realistically at what an inability to forgive does to the person who is carrying around the anger and hatred. The first time we read about someone performing an absolutely horrendous act of violence on someone else, our innate reaction is, I hope they kill the bastard. What we've got popped up here. Okay. When someone wrongs us in some way, we tend to forget these important words on forgiveness and say to ourselves, I'll get even, or I hope he gets his. The entire business of putting forgiveness into action on a daily basis involves accepting the other 6 universal principles in your life. The forgiveness part will come automatically when you go through the gate, when you befriend your own personal transformation and honour the intelligence that is behind your form and all form. When you use your power of thought to be at harmony rather than fighting the flow of energy that is our universe. When you stop carving up your world and live in oneness with all human beings, knowing that we are all connected by that divine intelligence, all of us, even those who do not think and behave as you would prefer. When you know in your heart that what you think about expands and you stay focused on what you love and what you are grateful for. When you release yourself from all attachments and let yourself live fully. When you have the knowledge that everything is synchronized and working perfectly in this one song. When you start living this way and thinking this way and allow others to do the same, then forgiveness will come automatically. You will have no hatred or disharmony left inside to give away. The forgiveness will come as naturally and automatically as Nureyev performs a leaping pirouette after thousands of hours of practice. Okay, so that's to do with someone who's a master of the ballet. Or how do I pronounce his name? Ishia Thomas twists and turns for a driving layup. No one can tell these 2 geniuses how to perform. I can't pronounce their names either. I do apologise. Okay, no one can tell these 2 geniuses how to perform their seeming miracles. They do it from intuition after practice, practice, practice. Forgiveness is very much like that. After practicing the lessons of higher consciousness, you will find forgiveness the easiest of all the universal principles to put into your daily life. It will happen automatically. If it is not happening automatically now, then you have more practice to do on the other areas of your life. Do not bemoan your inability to truly forgive. Simply work at living the principles of higher, harmonious consciousness, and before long, you will find it happening without any effort. When you see others practicing the acts of blame, anger, and vengeance, forgive them and be open to supporting them in changing their choices to hurt themselves and others. You will start devoting yourself to helping others to eliminate their vengeful, unforgiving thoughts, and then you will know that it has happened for you as well. It will be as if you were on automatic pilot, reacting with your thoughts the same way you react automatically without consciously thinking. When you do something when you have practiced, when you do something that you have practiced many, many times. But until that automatic act of forgiveness clicks in, here are ways to speed up that process. Please tell us. Okay, giving is the key to forgiving. This is one of the greatest lessons I have ever learned in my life. If you can master this one without any cynicism, you will find forgiveness is a way of life for you. Giving is the answer to why am I here? Since you cannot own anything, and all of your attachments prevent abundance from arriving in your life, then all that you can do is give of yourself and of all of those things that keep circulating back into your life. Most of us are so into hoarding all that we can get for ourselves and our families that we forget the need to keep it in motion. In our rush to acquire, we find ourselves creating angry relationships, even with strangers, as we set up defences in anticipation of their taking something away from us. Keep in mind that it is impossible to create any bitterness or hatred towards others when your primary objective is to be a giving human being. Forgiveness comes almost automatically when you detach yourself from the need to get something and instead focus on reaching out to others. The irony is that the less you are obsessed with getting and the more willing you are to give, the more you seem to get. What you think about expands. Thus, if your thoughts are on getting all that you can and beating the other guy who you believe is trying to do you in, then you are constantly thinking about, worrying about, and planning on the notion of deception. Your thoughts are focused on the dishonesty of the other guy and the callousness of the world. That is what will expand in your life because that is what you are thinking about. Consequently, you will find yourself getting more and more fearful about being cheated, insuring yourself against the possibility, hiring attorneys to protect you, and loading yourself up with adversaries. You literally put yourself in an adversarial relationship with almost everyone that you meet. And sure enough, you find this sort of thing continuing to expand. Now, take a look at the opposite approach to your life. Your thoughts, you, now shift to a new perspective. You are not thinking about your own quotas, your own acquisitions, your financial picture at all. You are instead giving away what you have inside, that is harmony and acceptance. Since you are not looking to gain anything from anyone, you have nothing to fear. Suppose someone enters your life who might be determined to cheat you, and that person encounters in you someone who truly cares about him as a human being. The likelihood of the cheating behaviour will be dramatically lessened when there is no expectation of it. Looking for harmony and cooperation and giving it to others will most likely result in your receiving the same kind of treatment. You will not attract enemies because you are not putting yourself into an adversarial position with anyone, regardless of what anyone sends you. Giving becomes the key to creating relationships in which forgiveness is unnecessary. This truly works. Bear with me before allowing any of your enculturated scepticism to creep in here. Got Jasper having a little bit of an itch behind the laptop. Okay. Of course, I am aware that there are people who behave dishonestly in the world. I know that horrible criminal acts occur regularly. I know that many people believe that we should keep building more and more prisons and put all of those kinds of people away for good. But building more prisons to put away more and more people simply is not working. We have doubled and quadrupled the number of prisons in the past decade, and they are still overcrowded. The answer will come when we discover why we have so many people who want to take from others and work at correcting that approach to life. Raising your own consciousness is the only way that we can begin such a journey. I have found that the quickest way to disarm anyone who is forced exclusively on what he can take from me is to let him know with kindness that I do not live that way. I recently purchased an automobile and found after the closing that the dealer had added a charge of almost $200 into the contract, over and above the price that we had agreed upon. I did not discover this until I had returned home and looked over the final papers more carefully. For me, this was a perfect opportunity to practice all that I have been writing about in this book. Years ago, I probably would have been angry, felt cheated, and had an unpleasant exchange with the car dealer. Not this time. I simply called and expressed my opinion to the salesman about what had happened, and explained that I did not feel that he had acted from integrity in the closing. I also talked to the owner, and I again expressed how I felt about it, without any anger or bitterness. We had a pleasant exchange, and the dealer apologised, but felt that he could not refund the money since we had signed the papers, and after all, a deal is a deal. I told him that I did not respect this particular business practice, and I then let it go. I did not need to forgive him, since I was not owning any anger about the situation. I vowed I would look more carefully at contracts before closing in the future. That was the end of it, until the following letter arrived some 10 days later. Dear Wayne, after giving our conversation on the phone further thought, I have decided to refund the $188.50 that is in question. I feel that it was a misunderstanding and not an attempt to mislead. However, our customers' positive feeling towards us is very important, and I hope that this refund will be evidence of that. If I can be any other assistance, please let me know. Thank you. I donated the money that I received to the End World Hunger Cause, and 5 days later, I received a cheque for $988.50 from Argentina for royalties on something that I had written 15 years ago. I gave $600 of that money to help out some relatives, and 6 days later, I received a cheque for $6,269.50 from Mexico, also totally unexpected, for something I had done many years ago. For me, speaking from my heart, I truly know there is a truth in the maxim, what goes around comes around. You know that there are certain principles working within you to keep you alive and functioning, such as salivation, digestion, elimination, and the like. Know also that the principles of abundance, synchronicity, detachment and oneness are operative in the universe. All you have to do is tune into them and let them work through you, exactly as do the principles that maintain your physical perfection. When you are in harmony yourself, you want to give that internal bliss away, and that is the focus of your life. Since you are energy and everything else in the universe is also energy, all you want to do is keep it flowing. No blockages, only flow. When you send it out, it will keep coming back. Remember to give for the sake of giving, and to keep it circulating as it flows back, and you will soon see it working in your life. If you doubt this principle, it will not work in your life. Your doubt is the blockage. But everyone that I know who has truly put it to the test finds that it works beautifully. For me, I am beyond believing. I simply know it to be true. Thus, I seldom encounter those who might cheat me. When I do, I act from love rather than anger, with the realisation that they cannot experience what I am talking about while they are fixated on getting rather than giving. The quality of their lives is affected by their thoughts of scarcity and trying to get from others, and they believe they will never have enough. I believe I will always have enough, no matter my circumstances. Consequently, I can give, and it keeps coming back almost magically. I keep it all circulating, since I do not want to be attached to any of it. People simply do not steal from me. This realisation about giving hit me strongly a few years ago when I began giving away large numbers of my book, Gifts from IKIS. The more I gave, the better I felt, and the more abundance kept coming back into my life. I realised that giving and receiving were the exact same thing, no difference. Every gift I gave me something back. I found a profound shift taking place as I practiced giving. This was not a conscious choice to be more philanthropic. I think that's how you say it. I still resist when someone tells me what to give. It was an automatic response to the shifts that were taking place in my consciousness. The giving was truly enriching my life in ways that I had not anticipated. In a meditation one night, I saw that we are truly here only to give, and that love is the most important thing to be given, regardless of the circumstances. I still, however, have great difficulty in suspending anger when I see evidence of man's inhumanity to man. The newspaper picture of the angry young man who has just murdered 2 innocent people is a very tough test. I sometimes stare at that photo, which we all have seen, and ask myself, am I capable of giving him love too? I try to see that person as a tiny baby, to see his innocence and the fact that he too, regardless of his crimes, is deserving of love. This is admittedly a tough place to get to, particularly when you or a loved one has been the victim. Our judgment of him does not define him. He is already defined by his own thoughts and actions. Joel Goldsmith, writing in Parenthesis in Eternity, says, loving our neighbour as ourselves, then, is giving our neighbour the same recognition of godliness that we give ourselves regardless of the appearance of the moment. That neighbour may be the woman taken in adultery or the thief on the cross, but we have nothing to do with that. What we have to do with is to love all our neighbours by knowing their true nature, just as we would be loved by having them know our true nature, in spite of what outward appearance may temporarily be evident. Let's have a drink. Love thy neighbour as love thyself. We can begin by sending love and compassion to the part of ourselves who is struggling with pain and sorrow and anger. When we can truly be there for ourselves, we are able to be part of that universal energy, that higher consciousness, that godliness that is in each and every one of us, and we are able to give it even to those who harm us, because it is what we have inside of ourselves. It truly is in every one of us to be love, if we allow it. Giving in any capacity that you can muster without any expectations of return for your efforts is the biggest step that you can take to bring abundance into your life and to eliminate the need to forgive. Paradoxically, as long as you do not expect it, you will find yourself receiving more and more as well. Ultimately, you will discover that giving and receiving are one and the same. Forgiving yourself. And why not? When you are living the principle discussed in this book, you will find yourself being gentler to yourself. This is the act of self-forgiveness, which shows that you are living the awakened life. I have a beautiful pillow in my office that says, I'm allowed. It was made by my sister-in-law many years ago. For me, it is a reminder that I am allowed to live my life as I please, to make mistakes, to learn from those mistakes, and on and on. Many live their lives believing that they are not allowed. Judgmental adults succeeded in convincing them that there are irrevocable rules which state what you can say or not say, which order you never to be late, not to drink or smoke, to hate the enemies assigned to you, never to masturbate, to disregard all religions except the one you were born into, to dismiss those who appear different from you, never to get divorced, and so on. At some point in your life, you adopted these rules for yourself and made them a lifetime code of conduct. Yet you also found that it was impossible to live up to all of them all the time. Consequently, you filled yourself with guilt for not having lived up to the judgmental code that was imposed upon you. This guilty feeling is something that inhibits your own awakening, and the only way to escape is to forgive yourself for everything that you have done. Once again, the absurdity of the need to forgive surfaces. You really have nothing to forgive yourself for, and yet if you don't, you still wallow around in your own guilt. The more you learn the lessons of higher consciousness and live your life from this perspective, the less inclined you will be even to think about needing to forgive yourself. Look at any and all beliefs that you carry around with you in terms of how well they serve you in living a life of harmony and purpose. If you behave in a way that is in violation of those supposedly irrevocable rules, you have not really done something wrong. You have merely done something, and it is done. If you are, however, plagued with remorse and guilt, then judging the action as wrong seems appropriate to prevent its reoccurrence. Does it? Probably not. So instead, learn from it by deciding if it is something that you want to repeat based upon your values, and then move past it. It takes effort to determine if you are still operating on the controls imposed by others. The effort is well worth it if you are not taking responsibility for your own mind. You are allowed, plain and simple. You do not need to be forgiven by anyone else, only yourself, and even that is truly unnecessary once you accept yourself completely. You will know when you have mastered the art of self-forgiveness, when you are no longer judgmental towards others, and you will have forgiven yourself and be on your path of enlightenment. Releasing judgment of another is actually releasing judgment of yourself. Your need to put others into categories defines you, not them. When you stop doing this, you have forgiven yourself for whatever aspects of yourself you see in them. The more at ease you are with the behaviour of others, even if you would not act that way yourself, the more you are at ease with yourself. The more you continue to react with intellectually violent responses to the conduct of others, the more you know that you have to work to do. The more you know that you have work to do on self-forgiveness. Say to yourself, I'm allowed. Not because I tell you you are, or because your parents are no longer in charge of you, or because some authority figure granted you permission, but simply because you are lovingly there for yourself. No guilt, no anger, no flagellation over things that you consider mistakes. A simple understanding that you do not fail in life, you only produce results, and you have the right to learn and grow from any results that you produce. The word failure is itself a judgment, and if you label yourself a failure in any context, you are judging rather than accepting yourself. Self-acceptance will turn into self-love, and when you are filled with self-love, that is what you will have to give away. Consequently, the willingness to forgive yourself is a necessary step to being in harmony with all of the universal principles. It gives you permission to be whatever you choose, and it gives you the right to self-determination. Everything that you have done is over, regardless of your opinion about it. It simply is. Try to simply be. The past is over, and everything you did got you to the point that you are at, right at this moment. Everything had to happen exactly as it did, without any exceptions, in order for you to be here, reading these words in the exact location in which you find yourself now. You needed to do it all, and all you have to do to really learn this lesson of forgiveness is to allow that thought in and lovingly forgive yourself. Receive the lesson from it and be in harmony with yourself and everyone that you encounter. The more peaceful you are with that idea, and the more willing you are to be gentle with yourself, even if you slip, the more you will find forgiveness your way of life. Which means the more you will find acceptance which is the absence of the need to forgive, as your way of life. We've gone dark. I even put on the lights so it wasn't dark in here. Okay. It is what it is. You will notice so many others violate the values and beliefs that you hold. Refuse to judge them. Reach out to help when asked, and know that where you are on your path, you can choose to be unaffected by their conduct. The more you know that you are thinking and acting in harmony with what the universe can be, the less you will be inclined to judge others. And you will have stopped judging yourself as well. And that is a glorious aspect of this process. You are treating yourself the way you truly want to be treated, as the divine being that you are. You have the intelligence that supports all form running through you at all times. You are important enough to know that, and divine enough to give it away. Okay, surrendering, the ultimate act. I am bringing this book, this wonderful labour of love for me, to a close with a final concept that I call surrendering. This in no way implies giving control of your life over to another person, organisation, or set of ideas. By surrendering, I simply mean trusting in the forces and principles that are always at work in this perfect universe, just as you surrender every day to the principles that make you a working, loving unit without questioning, fighting, demanding, or even asking to fully understand them all. And just as you surrender also to the greater principles that govern the universe and all of the living beings contained within it. The act of forgiveness is easier when you surrender. When you know that all of us are on our own paths, doing exactly what we know to do at the moment, given the conditions of our lives, then you can let go of any malice towards others for acting out their own destiny. You also know that you brought every person and his or her behaviour into your life in some way and for some reason. With surrender, you sense that there is a powerful lesson for you as a result of that person's being in your life, even if he or she visited havoc and pain on you. Forgiveness comes with surrendering to the perfection of it all. Surrendering replaces questioning why some things are so painful and difficult to grasp. Surrendering goes beyond forgiveness and can easily carry the burden not only of this particular chapter, but of the entire book as well. Inherent in the business of surrendering is the notion of trust. With surrender, you trust the perfection and beauty of it all, and at the same time know the paradox that all of the suffering that seems to go on all over our planet is part of that perfection, as is your own strong desire to end it. Death is not a punishment, but a transition. The only thing that dies is form, while thought is eternal energy. You are that thought and can never die. Surrender completely and stop fighting anything and everything. When you have this trust, you will wonder why you did not surrender long ago, because of the peace and serenity that you will feel. One way to move into surrendering is to make a personal commitment to forgive every single person that you have ever had any conflict with. Send each one a gift and a note wishing him or her well, and when you are tempted to haul out those old thoughts of bitterness and anguish, remind yourself that the relationship has healed with the balm of forgiveness. It is as if you knew you were going to die tomorrow, and you knew also that you could not make the transition if you left any people behind you that you hated. Imagine heaven requiring love for everyone, no exceptions, and you having the capacity to make that happen. In many ways, heaven on earth does require exactly that. Love that is not conditional, that is free from demands, that allows the loved one the right to be anything that he or she chooses without losing your love. This is the kind of surrendering that I am talking about, a kind of trust that everything is in perfect working order in the universe, including yourself. As I approached the writing of this work, I surrendered. I accepted that the principles that I am writing about are true and omnipresent in the universe. I trusted that completely, as I do right now. As I proceeded to write, I allowed myself to flow without. I trusted that completely, as I do right now. As I proceeded to write, I allowed myself to flow throughout this universe project. No strain, no worry, no fear that I would not be able to complete my undertaking. I surrendered to the idea that this book would be written and that I had nothing to fight or struggle about in the production of this work. I would sit down and simply outline the ideas that I have had as a result of my own life experiences, my research and reading, my listening to great spiritual masters. Everything that I needed seemed to come in at just the right time. While working on the particular chapter, I would receive a tape in the mail from someone who had heard me speak, telling me that this would clarify some of the points. It always did. On other occasions, someone would send me a book in the mail, telling me that I simply had to read it. That book would be the one that I needed on that particular day. Many, many times when I wanted a special quote to use, I would reach into the massive pile of books and pamphlets on my huge glass table, and my hands would bring out a book. While I sat at the typewriter, I would open that particular book to a page, and there it would be, perfect. Just what I wanted to embellish the point I was making. Never before have I had this experience of effortless perfection for such an extended period of time. I surrendered to it in my writing and allowed it to flow unimpeded through me to you. No worry, no stress, no fighting any of it, simply knowing that it is all working perfectly. I am not advocating an absence of planning or caring. In fact, you will find yourself caring and preparing even more than ever before. What I am describing in the process of knowing that everything is going, what I am describing is the process of knowing that everything is going to work out because you are at harmony within. You only have love and serenity to give away. In the process of going about your life's work, have that inner knowledge that it is all going to be as it should be. Little flies come to listen. This is what surrendering is about. Inner knowingness, inner contentment that overtakes you when you trust the force of the universe to be in harmony with yourself. Knowing that abundance is your birthright and that it all flows to and through you when you are no longer challenging anything. It is like having a guardian angel or a loving observer as a part of your consciousness, a companion that you are always having compassionate, silent conversations with, a consciousness behind your form. That part is always perfect. There is no struggle or suffering in that part. That is your transcendent dimension of thought. A sensitive Norwegian poet, Rolf Jacobson, wrote a beautiful poem titled Guardian Angel. It deserves to be read slowly and lovingly, and with the watchful eye of this fly here. Hi, would you like to listen to this poem? Okay, by Rolf Jacobson. I am the bird. We had some knocking on the window, it's quite a sinks. I am the bird that knocks at your window in the morning, and your companion, whom you cannot know, the blossoms that light up for the blind. I am the glacier's crest above the forests, the dazzling one and the brass voices from the cathedral towers. The thought that suddenly comes over you at midday and fills you with a singular happiness. I am the one you have loved long ago. I walked alongside you by day and looked intently at you and put my mouth on your heart, but you don't know it. I am your third arm. Little fly, he's trying to chat here. If I could bring him in so you could see him. See if I can. I am your third arm. Okay, should we hold him here? The third arm. I am your third arm and your second shadow. The white one, whom you don't have the heart for and who cannot ever forget you. We all have our own connections to that invisible part of us. There is much more to life than simply living out our days as form and then disappearing into an abyss of infinite nothingness. Our thoughts are a magic part of us, and they can carry us to places that have no boundaries and no limitations. In that dimensionless world of thought, everything is possible. It demands nothing of you, this awakened life, only that you fill yourself with the life energy that makes the dynamic work, and that you celebrate the invisible part of you as well as the visible. Let these ideas in and simply see where they lead you. As you do, remember, you do not have to struggle. You do not have to fight. You do not have to win. You only have to know. Namaste. I celebrate the place in you where we are all one. It is all very well to copy what we see, but it is better to draw what you see in your mind. Then your memory and your imagination are freed from the tyranny imposed by nature. Edgar Degas. And that, my friends, is the end. I will catch up with you guys soon for study time. I'm a little bit undecided about what I'm not. We was going to go for Think and Grow Rich, okay, Napoleon Hill. I actually want to visit the book that made that book, and that will be How to Raise Your Own Salary by Napoleon Hill. Okay, it's like a lost little treasure, that book. So we will be actually, that's interesting because I'm going to have to go, it's like a script, so two people talking. But I believe that's where we're going next on our study group mission. How to Raise Your Own Salary by Napoleon Hill. Guys, until then, take care, much love, bye for now.